Now joining me in studio to discuss a few events at our local zoo, Executive Director of the Ross Park Zoo, Philip Ginter. Hello, Philip. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
So this
on
is
this
the
brisk afternoon.
I know it's been pretty brisk for a decent amount of time now, but the weekend looks okay. So thank goodness.
Yes.
But how is the zoo doing with these chilly months? You know.
It's always challenging. I mean, fortunately, one of the things that we're very mindful of when we think about what animals to have here at our zoo is to have animals that are acclimated to this type of weather, so that, you know, we have a snow leopard, you know, we have our red pandas, our Pallas cats, our red wolves. You know, a lot of the animals that we work with are animals that are accustomed to colder weather, so they handle it much better than we do.
Yes, of course. And you know what I thought was really cool that I learned when I went to the zoo is that the penguins actually like warmer weather, right?
Yeah, so people always come to the, like, where are your penguins? Why aren't they out? Don't they like the cold? But, you know, there are very few species of penguins that actually live year-round in Antarctica. And the penguins we have are from South Africa, so they like it a little bit warmer. So when the temperature drops below about 45, they're inside for the year. So,
Yeah.
but they'll be coming out in the next, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We can only hope. You know, I'm that kind of penguin. If I was a penguin, I'm them. So I relate to them. But anyway, so this is the 150th year anniversary of Ross Park Zoo, which is the 5th oldest zoo, which I think is so interesting and a lot of people forget about. So tell me about, you have this new mural that you've been working on. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we're super excited. We've been working with a group called Mural Mosaics. They do a international program where they engage community members to create art, and then they have an artist that puts that all together into a massive mural. So they're putting the finishing touches on it today. So we have a 24-foot wide, 12-foot high mural that will be unveiled tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 up by our pavilion. So you know, if people are looking for something to do tomorrow afternoon around 1:30, swing by the zoo. You'll see the mural as you're coming up Morgan Road. Will be covered until 1:30, but come on in. We're going to have some hot chocolate tea, some refreshments, so it'll be, you know, a fun little afternoon. And of course, as long as you're there, you might as well stop in and visit the zoo.
And without giving too much away, can you describe a little what the mural looks like? Because when it all came together and it was this beautiful piece.
Yeah, so the reason that we decided to even pursue this was because the mural itself is themed around nature. So it's a scene with a giant tree with some wildlife on it, and just really is a celebration of our diversity and our interconnection with the world around us. So we think it's a very appropriate piece to have at Ross Park, which, you know, is the area's first public park. So Ross Park Zoo is the 5th oldest zoo in the country. And Ross Park itself was the first public park in Broome County. So we're trying to kind of recreate that original excitement and buzz around being this central gathering place for people to come together and celebrate.
That's awesome. I've been going to the Ross Park Zoo since I was little. You know, my dad would always take me so I could run around and have so much fun. So I'm glad to see it, you know, still growing and still doing so many things. So I wanted to ask you too, one more thing about the mural is, how did it feel to see the community coming together to put a piece up at the zoo?
It was awesome. We've gotten a ton of positive feedback. It was great seeing people on our social media. They were sharing some of the tiles that they had painted. It was just a really neat experience, and we're so grateful for the community support, not just of this project, but the zoo in general. Obviously, you know, we would not exist if the community wasn't there to support us.
Absolutely. So another big thing that you have coming up in the spring, construction is going to start with the Creekside Play and Learning Center. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we are super excited about this project. 2 years ago, we started working with an organization out of North Carolina State University called the Natural Learning Initiative. They design these different nature play experiences all over the country. Ross Park, so the zoo sits on about 25 acres. We lease another 30 acres from the city of Binghamton that some people in the community might remember. Probably back in the 50s and 60s, there was a picnic area, there were campgrounds. Again, it was a very vibrant part of our community. and over the last several decades, it's just kind of fallen on the wayside. So
Yeah.
we've worked to kind of re-envision what that space could be. And we're excited that we've secured some state funding and some local funding. So this coming spring, we'll be breaking ground on phase 1 of the Creekside Play and Learning Center, which we're calling our First Encounter space. So it'll have a brand new educational classroom building, a lot of different experiences for kids to engage in, from digging for fossils to a water play station and a giant bird's nest and a treehouse walk and a den that they can go explore.
That's awesome.
And perhaps what's going to be even the coolest part is we will have 3 campsites. So we'll be able to offer overnight programming at the park. So we're super excited to get started on this. And like I said, this is going to be phase 1, and we've got an entire plan for the 30 acres of the park. So over the next several years, we'll be continuing to work on rolling out additional elements. But you mentioned, running around and playing at the park. My daughter loves going. We used to go, and she would go down in the creek, and we're excited. We're going to be rolling out a summer program again this year after taking a little bit of a hiatus. So we're just looking for ways to kind of provide opportunities for people to connect with nature, not just inside the zoo, but at the park as well. So get down there in the creek and get wet and look for toads and salamanders and
I think
minnows.
this is awesome. This is so big for the zoo, because when I was younger, I was running around, and I'm not saying it's always looked similar, but this is going to be so big to add and so much more to do with the zoo. So how can people find more information on these events coming up or anything like that?
Sure. So you can always visit our website, rossparkzoo.org. They can follow us on social media at Ross Park Zoo, and they can call us at 607-724-5461.
All right, perfect. Well, Philip, thank you so much for coming out today. I'm so excited to follow this whole, starting this whole Creekside thing starting up. So I'll be there every step.
Yeah, and of course, coming in July, we'll be rolling out a new master plan for the zoo. So people can be looking for ways to provide us with feedback on what they'd like the future of the zoo to look like. And we'll be working on that and unveiling our new plans in July. All
right, perfect. Well, I'm going to bring you back on before then so we can talk about that a little more too. But thank you so much for joining me today, Philip. For those of you who might have missed those details, there will be an unveiling of the mosaic mural at Ross Park Zoo tomorrow, February 22nd at 1:30 p.m. Let's celebrate diversity, individuality, and our connections with the human and natural worlds. There are big plans for the zoo in its 150th year, including a Creekside Play and Learning Area is getting ready to begin development in the spring. To learn more about these exciting events, you can visit rossparkzoo.org.